Yeah, I'll always be a metalhead. Nothing can take that away from me.
Right.
I mean, not jail, not people, not religion, not anything. I'll always be a metalhead. Metalhead leaves you all alive.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Great Metal Debate. Today the podcast returns with another amazing metal album review, checking out the debut release from U.S. black and death metal assemblage Visitant titled Rubidium, which is scheduled to be released on August 22nd through Exitus Strategem Records. Before we get into the review, a reminder to like, subscribe, and share all our content on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. And join in the metal debate by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I don't often review debut albums from bands, so this provides an interesting opportunity to say essentially everything about a band's style and sound in the course of reviewing their album. That said, there's one additional lone piece of music from the band, which was their debut single and video Dematerialization, released by Visitant in 2022. I was surprised to find that track absent from inclusion on the new album, expecting it would be there, perhaps remixed or even in reworked format, but the new album is exclusively new music. One other odd twist for me regarding this review is that I have had the opportunity to see Visitant perform most, maybe all, of these new album tracks live in June of this year, long before I received the advanced promo from Exitus Strategem Records. That concert at one of the smallest of Nashville venues was a real eye-opener, and I recall being so impressed with the performance and quality of material, such that when faced with reviewing the record, I truly wondered whether the produced album tracks would live up to my subjective, in-the-moment impression of the material in the live setting. Any worries I had were unfounded. Overall, I found Rubidium to be surprisingly good and an amazingly compelling and cohesive experience from beginning to end. The album immerses the listener within a bleak, ominous sonic aura intended to disturb and impress. The band's approach isn't anything super complex or innovative. I definitely wouldn't call them progressive. Instead, this adventure in black and death metal is simple and most importantly effective. Visitant really balanced their approach in a way that effectively utilized the death metal, black metal, and atmospheric elements without caricature. There are only 7 tracks on Rubidium, a point we'll circle back to later, so I'll briefly comment on each song before going on to discuss the album in toto. The quality of production and song design is one of the first things that jumped out to me when hearing the opening track, Otherworldly, where the sumptuous keyboard orchestrations devolve quickly into death metal madness. Doubtless there will be some who find this version of black and death metal to be too polished and without the requisite grit, but for me it was more than fine. Rubidium has plenty of character to its sound, especially the guitar work of Taylor Tidwell. On this song, there's some great riffing that feels authentic and live without sacrificing sound quality. Overall, Otherworldly is quite darkly melodic with meaty, crunchy riffs and some good instrumental jams going on under the growls of front-person Chelsea Marrow. The second song is Briars, which is packed with energy and aggression, overwhelming the listener at times with its power and angst. However, it's also very melodic and immersive, with a lot of emphasis placed on creating the right atmosphere, especially the soft guitar and whispering spoken word intro and exit. I love Killian Duarte's bass guitar rhythm that really gives extra oomph to the verses. The black metal influence is so obvious on this one, with some well-placed tremolo picking on the chorus and the percussion adjusting by slowing and speeding the tempo at just the right times. There's a very nuanced hand employed in the orchestrations on this one and throughout Rubidium that makes their impact so effective. Another example of that approach is track 3, Starless, where the light touch of faux keys beneath contrasts so well with the black metal guitars. There's also just the right amount of atmospherics, something I think a lot of black metal bands struggle with in finding the appropriate balance of softness filling in on the audio spectrum without going into ASMR. And the guitar primary lead break on this one is so well composed and a fitting exit to a killer song. Next up on the listing is the title track Rubidium. The aggression here may be toned down a touch from the album's first batch of songs, but the band's performance is ultimately no less brutal, especially on the maniacal chorus. The drum work of producer Anthony LeSimone really does the job managing the sonic flow, and with Tidwell's guitars accumulating to deliver a biting, mournful curtain of sound. A bit different, but still very strong, is the song Fodder, so well designed in how it bounces between precise notes and atmospheric leads, as well as brutal blast beats played over slower grooves. Contrast is present in the overall structure of the song. The slower, atmospheric bits build up into faster bits, and the faster parts give way to bombastic guitar overtones played over more stylized elements. On microphone, Merrow utilizes gutturals, black metal shrieks, and haunting, layered clean vocals. Really, every movement of this song is artfully played by each member of the band, with the combination strengthening as it builds to a crescendo. My favorite track on the album is Envy's Lament, which has some of the most passionately distressed growls from Merrow, but also ethereal cleans on the versing that was both unexpected and stirring. Again, Tidwell does a phenomenal job here, at times bringing a more European feel to his playing, and at other points his style dips into the Tampa scene, but always with the right balance of technicality and feel. The album concludes with Moonbathe, a very different track than the preceding 6 in that it is devoid of lyrics with only an ethereal vocal background. The melody on this one is so damn reminiscent of Seven Spire's Gods of Debauchery. I recall when I heard them play this live, just for a moment wondering if they were doing a cover of that track. Again, very different, but a solid appendix to the record. In summary, I enjoyed the hell out of this album. It features a great mix of aggression and melody, and I give a lot of credit to the production, which brought out the best in each of the band members. Tidwell's guitar sound and playing is outstanding, and although he's efficient with his leads, never overusing notes, at times the beauty of his solos still had my jaw on the floor. Merrow is very consistent, yet relentless in the intensity of her lyrical growls, but also wisely mixing in some cleans or spoken word, just enough to keep things interesting. And while the bass guitar isn't always super differentiated on the album, it peeks out at times enough for you to know it's there, and brings a solid foundation with occasional flourishes to the overall sound. As a light critique, I will say that I was slightly disappointed to get only 7 songs on Rubidium. It's more than an EP, but just barely more, and certainly left me wanting more. That said, it is very listenable all the way through, and I would encourage folks to play it from beginning to end. Not that the individual songs don't stand on their own, but just to ingest the full sense of what the band is trying to deliver. The entirety of Rubidium feels very authentic and is not overdone in any way. There's a diversity of atmosphere that explores the many nuances of the band's genre palette. Visitant's full personality emerges as a contrasting array of styles and tempos that offer a sensory roller coaster through their dark vision. While the album doesn't ever try to reinvent the wheel or stretch anything beyond its extreme metal influences, they also aren't overly derivative and never formulaic. 2025 has definitely had its share of great albums, and I'm counting this among those, so I'll reward Rubidium a 9 out of 10 rating. It absolutely impressed, outshined my expectations, and I'm already anxiously awaiting the next release by Visitant. Rubidium, the debut album from Visitant, is released through Exitus Strategem Records and can be pre-ordered via Spotify, Apple Music, and Deezer.